Alright guys, I'm going to be completely honest here. I thought Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings was gonna be a stupid movie from the get-go. Like, the moment I heard about it, I just didn't find that concept very captivating, and I was right. However, I went into this movie with the most open-minded mind possible. In fact, I was expecting to come out of the theater kinda enjoying myself because I saw a lot of reviews saying like, oh, this is the best Marvel movie ever. Nothing will ever top this. This is better than Endgame, Infinity War, all of that. So I was like, yeah, I love Marvel. I've seen every single Marvel movie, and I remember thinking to myself as soon as I walked out of the theaters of all those other Marvel movies, like, this is great. Anyways, in the back of my mind, I told myself that I was probably gonna be done as soon as Tony Stark died, because that would probably be at the end of what the MCU was kind of trying to tell us for that overarching Infinity Saga, which it was. And yeah, there was a reason why I said that, and I'll explain why. Basically, I feel like Marvel lost its touch, and it did, and I think hopefully I'll be able to convey why I feel like that in this video. Anyways, as I said earlier, I saw people write about Shang-Chi and praise it to the moon and back. They said things like, oh, Shang-Chi is really different. It sets a new precedent inside the MCU, and yeah, I didn't see them do anything like that at all. It's exactly like every other Marvel movie except worse. I swear to God, Disney had to pay people off to get this many good reviews because they're all so fake. Now, I know some of you guys somehow actually enjoy this movie, and I hear you. I do hear you. I just don't care. I mean, come on. Oh, like, almost everyone in my theater was talking throughout the entire movie while also being on their phones. They were just that bored. This movie was awful in almost every single way, and it really shows. Black Panther, which was my least favorite Marvel movie. I'm black, by the way, so you can't cancel me for that. Black Panther was my least favorite Marvel movie, and I'd honestly say Shang-Chi was worse than Black Panther. I think Shang-Chi made Black Panther look like an S-tier movie, and that's really saying something if you know me and how I feel about Black Panther. Anyways, before we begin here, I'd just like to take a moment to ask you guys to like and subscribe, as it really helps me out and obviously helps this channel grow. Without further ado, let's talk about why Shang-Chi is the worst Marvel movie to date, at least in my opinion. And just one more thing, I'm probably gonna stutter a lot and just mess things up here, because this movie made me feel a lot of negative emotions. It was just unbelievable, but we'll get into it. Alright, so originally the script for this video was like 30 pages long, explaining the entire plot because it just made no sense. Instead of wasting everyone's time, I'm going to proceed under the assumption that everyone who's watching this video has seen the movie, so obvious spoiler warning. Anyways, I'll be skipping straight into why the plot makes no sense. To put it simply, the antagonist of the movie changes every 3 seconds. First, it's Shang-Chi's dad. Then it's Shang-Chi's sister. Then it's back to Shang-Chi's dad. Then it's some random other dimensional people called the Ta Lo or something. And then it's back to Shang-Chi's dad. And finally, it's some random soul-sucking demon. I just wish I could say I'm joking, but I'm not. I feel like this entire movie script was made by doing one of those ad-lib things. Like, how could a movie made by such a big company with so much money, with access to the best writers in the planet, create such a disjointed mess? I feel like I must also say I feel a little bit betrayed by the advertising campaign for this movie. We see a lot of posters with Simu Lee wielding the 10 rings and whatnot. We also see that the title of the movie is called The Legend of the 10 Rings. Evidently, this is more so referring to the army or the group, and not the 10 rings themselves, as the 10 rings are actually hardly in the movie, which is pretty dumb. I found myself asking how long could it possibly be until the main character gets his hero weapon, but evidently the answer to that is he'll get it in the last 10 minutes of the movie, and let me also add, he'll just suddenly know how to use it. Anyways, this is just so lazy. The point of introducing a new superhero is that we get to ride along as he or she figures out how to use their powers. If you're looking for that kind of experience, I promise you won't find it here, at least not in a satisfying way. Also, this story is way too dependent on flashbacks. Like, geez, I feel like I'm watching Arrow. It just makes no sense. And when I say makes no sense, I mean they show us the same flashback about 30 times throughout the entire span of the movie. Personally, I'm not a fan of flashbacks, especially when an entire story revolves around them. It's just annoying and it honestly almost never works. I say almost because, it can, but it usually doesn't. We get it. The story doesn't work, so you have to write another story to improve upon the regular one. Alright, just stop. Flashbacks don't work. I am genuinely trying to figure out how I just sat through a feature-length film, and I literally couldn't explain this movie to someone. And I'm not even talking about the themes or the lessons, I'm talking about the plot. While I do understand the plot, it's honestly really hard to explain it correctly. On top of that, every movie needs big themes that should resonate with the audience. I couldn't tell you what any of the themes in this movie are. I want to say the story is about family, but the son tries to kill the dad for the majority of the movie. Like, dude, I don't freaking know. This movie is about a valet driver who's forced to become a superhero when all he wants to do is be a valet driver. You guys try and tell me that you're gonna find a complex and meaningful theme in a movie like that. And that's the problem. This movie's just dumb. It never gave me a reason to care. Not about Shang-Chi anyways. I do care about the dad, but we'll get to that later. I don't think it's just me, guys. Obviously, I watch other YouTubers as well, and I have yet to see anyone talk about the plot in depth while talking about Shang-Chi. So far, all I've seen is that they've said, like, oh yeah, the movie's cool, I like superheroes, I like rings. No deep analysis or anything, and I think it's because they literally can't, because they know this movie makes absolutely no sense, but for whatever reason, everyone's possessed to just say it's great. Anyways, I really don't want to spend too long talking about the plot, because we'll literally be here all year. Just take my word for it, the plot was stupid, and the story made no sense whatsoever. That's the last thing I'm going to say about it, because I think we'll find more value in talking about the actual characters, rather than going over every single tiny little detail why the plot doesn't work, and believe me, there's a lot of tiny little details why the plot doesn't work. What do I even have to say about Shang-Chi? I guess he's a nice guy. That's pretty much about it. This is literally the only thing we learn about Simu Li's character throughout the entire course of this movie. Oh yeah, and we also learned that his mom died in front of him, because we were shown that flashback probably about 30 times. Marvel really needed to get this movie right, but they just couldn't stick the landing. And they couldn't even stick the takeoff. I mean, all Marvel ever really had was good characters. We'd be lying to ourselves if we said that the plots were, really deep, with the exception of a few. But literally every single one of Marvel's first characters pretty much just fights people who have the same exact powers as them. Technically, the last statement isn't entirely true of this movie though. And no, that doesn't make it a good movie. In fact, it just makes it stupid, because the reason it wasn't like that was because Shang didn't have powers until the last 10 minutes. Anyways, I just feel like I shouldn't have come out of a movie that's meant to introduce a new character to a larger universe and still not know who the heck this guy is. I swear Shang-Chi's dad got more character development than he did. In fact, I'd go as far as saying Shang-Chi's dad is the main character. Oh yeah, speaking of Shang-Chi not getting his powers into the last 10 minutes of the movie, it kind of reminds me of another superhero team that's a Marvel property who didn't really come together and form into their own unit until the last 10 minutes of the movie. Fantastic Four. Another issue with Shang is him not really even being a character that can hold the audience's attention. I kid you not, Shang-Chi is never on screen alone. He always had to be with Katie, who is his best friend. This really exposes how weak of a character Shang-Chi is. I'd go as far as saying one of the evil Goonies in this movie named Razor Fist had more character development than Shang-Chi. Part of being the main character is going through this hero's journey, and Shang-Chi did nothing of the sort. At the end of the movie, Shang-Chi literally has everything handed to him on a silver platter. Lose the flight? Oh, that's okay. We'll give you the 10 rings anyway. Couldn't figure out how to airbend like your mother? That's still chill. We're chilling. Okay, you'll figure out how to do it coincidentally right when you need to, for the sake of the climax of the movie. If Shang-Chi can't even be interesting in his own movie, how am I supposed to be excited for him to be an Avenger or get another 2 movies, as he probably will, because Marvel likes trilogies. I mean, we all like trilogies. Trilogies work. Just not when the character's boring. Seriously, how is it that at the end of this movie, I still don't know who the heck Shang-Chi is? I don't even know what he wants. It honestly makes no sense. He doesn't want anything. When he finally gets the rings in the last 10 minutes of the movie, he immediately throws them on the ground and gives them back to his dad, who is trying to kill him. Shang-Chi is a hero who does not want to be a hero. In fact, all he wants to do is go back home and be a valet car driver and hang out with his best friend for the rest of his life. This is such a weak and unconvincing hero, it actually hurts to think about. I'm struggling so hard even to make this video that I had to take a break in the middle of writing the script, go into a hot tub and just chill out. It's unfathomable how so many people can say this is the best Marvel movie. It absolutely blows my mind. I'll even play devil's advocate here for a second. Maybe people are saying this movie's so unique because, yeah, Shang doesn't want to be a hero. But it's not unique because, well, one, no one else has made that argument, so that can't be what the reason is. And two, in the end of Spider-Man, the first one made with Marvel, Peter Parker decides he doesn't want to be an Avenger, he just wants to be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So also not original. So even when I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, this movie still doesn't work. This is literally a movie where the main character learns how to do things that took other characters 1,000 years. Shang-Chi masters these things in about a minute. It's just so incredibly lazy. This is worse than Rey in Star Wars. Part of being a hero is learning a valuable lesson at the end of the film. Well, the movie starts with Shang-Chi and Katie being irresponsible and ends with Shang-Chi and Katie being irresponsible, only this time they dragged Wong into it. Shang-Chi is such a poorly done character that the movie literally starts with Shang-Chi already knowing how to fight. So yeah, this guy not only grasps superpowers instantly, but he also starts off knowing how to fight. What kind of movie is this? I mean, it's not even Shang's fault he got no character development. He literally had no room to develop because they just made him perfect. Oh yes, Awkwafina. She's just so funny. Yeah, I can't lie, I don't really like her as an actor much. I don't think I've ever laughed at anything she's ever said. That being said, Katie is an incredibly annoying character, and I honestly don't understand why she was in the movie past the first act. It didn't really make much sense. That's pretty much all I have to say about her. Somehow in the end of the movie, it's kind of setting her up to also be an Avenger along with Shang. I'm not here for that. I don't know why they're doing that. It makes no sense, but you do you. You know, actually, there was another big moment where Disney/Marvel could have actually pulled a rabbit out of their hat and shocked us. When Shang-Chi's dad storms his sister's fighting ring, Katie almost died. She should have died. That would have actually given Shang-Chi a call to action and motivate him to continue to fight these people. Instead, Katie survives and Shang and her literally just get dragged along because her dad captures them. I mean, Shang's dad. This is such a big missed opportunity, and I honestly blame Disney. As we know, Disney likes to play it safe. This is mostly because dead characters don't sell very many action figures or t-shirts or whatever. You get the message. I long for the day where character development is more important than the bottom line. Take some pride in your work, Disney, and take a risk for once. Another thing that drove me absolutely crazy was the constant Hotel California jokes. I'm sorry if you guys like Awkwafina, but I just don't think she's funny. I've never liked a single role she's taken, with the exception of maybe Crazy Rich Asians. That being said, are you seriously going to tell me that these hardened assassins are being stumped by some random girl singing Hotel California? I'm sorry, it wasn't a funny joke, and they made the same joke like 5 times throughout the entire movie. Hell, it was even used as the end credit song. Just stop. No one in the theater laughed at this joke anytime it was said. Marvel seems to be going down a path now where a joke comes at the expense of an established plot point. That's just bad writing. Alright gang, I swear this movie was about Shang-Chi's dad, Zhu Wenwu. My guy Zhu is the only character in this entire movie who had any sort of character development. Unfortunately, the movie keeps trying to push this narrative that he's just this awful person. This dude literally gave up the ability to be immortal amongst other super cool superpowers for love. This dude is the world's biggest romantic. Zhu Wenwu has been alive for like 1,000 years, and he's been destroying villages and waging war on the world the entire time. All of that changes when he meets Shang-Chi's mom. Zhu Wenwu decides that love is more important than power, which is actually a super powerful lesson and a big moment for that character. I know I said I hate absolutely everything about this movie and I had nothing good to say about it, but Tony Leung as Zhu Wenwu was absolutely a legend in this role. Every scene he was in was great, honestly. Shang-Chi literally spends most of the movie trying to kill his dad. Why? Sure, he's done some bad things, but it's because his wife got murdered. This dude is just a grieving husband. He's doing everything he can to try and save his family. He's clearly just doing what he thinks is right. However, no one actually takes the time to just talk to Zhu Wenwu and try to understand things from his point of view. Zhu Wenwu's death was so incredibly stupid. He just kind of gets his soul sucked out. For no reason, it didn't move the story along, and I was pissed. Zhu Wenwu is the only character in this entire movie who could get any emotion out of me, and I honestly think he was the main character. If anything, Shang-Chi is the antagonist, and Zhu Wenwu is the protagonist. Rest in peace, Zhu Wenwu. Your family may not have realized all you sacrificed for them, but I sure as hell did. It's funny everyone says this movie is so different, but it's not. Do you know that this movie actually had a good opportunity to be different, but didn't take it? Having the parents alive. I mean, sure, the mom was dead, but they could have let Zhu Wenwu survive the movie. It blows my mind that they went out of their way to kill Zhu. I mean, this dude wouldn't have died how he died. Getting his soul sucked out by this Dementor god from Harry Potter. I mean, come on, Zhu Wenwu. He's lived for lifetimes. How would he have turned his back on a monster like that, especially knowing how dangerous it was? It just made no sense at all. Also, how are you going to start a movie off by establishing that Zhu Wenwu is immortal? Literally one of the first lines in the movie is that Zhu Wenwu can't be killed due to the rings and the magical power they bestow upon him. And then they kill him. I just have no words for how little sense this movie makes. The moral of the story is Tony Leung is freaking awesome. He stole the show. This was his movie. Shang-Chi should feel guilty for the rest of his life for getting his father killed for literally no reason. The way Tony conveyed so much emotion through just his expressions alone is so incredibly powerful. If you guys think that Zhu Wenwu was the villain of this movie, I think you guys need to just watch it again and think about the deeper meaning here. It's the only deep meaning in the entire movie. Shang-Chi's sister Xialing is honestly such a bad character. I'm literally I'm starting every sentence with XYZ is such a bad character. However, that seems to be the norm with this movie. I don't have much to say about Xialing. She's good at fighting, but other than that, she's an extremely one-dimensional character. This is pretty pathetic as she was in the majority of the movie, so she could have been developed. They tried to do this woman empowerment stuff with her, but it didn't really work because she already knew how to fight. So showing her getting good with a weapon that she was already good at, it didn't work. Why would that work? I get it, she's powerful, okay? And that whole empowerment thing comes after she beats the living hell out of Shang-Chi. So I don't know why that was even there. I mean, I guess it was to show that Katie was getting better at, shooting a bow and arrow, but it was mostly focused on Xialing, and we already, like I said, knew she could fight, so it just didn't make sense. I'd say it's a pretty big problem when the main character of your movie gets no development. I mean, it seems like no one in this movie got any development other than Zhu, but Xialing suffers from this almost as much as Shang-Chi does. Xialing's only character trait is being a strong woman. We don't know about her hopes and her dreams or her convictions. We don't know what she wants. She just kind of exists. Alternatively, it could have been a really powerful moment if she ended up fighting Zhu Wenwu at the end of the movie instead of Shang. I mean, Xialing dealt with Shang in like 3 seconds, as I stated earlier, so I think it's safe to say that she's a better fighter. So why was Shang sent and not her? I mean, obviously it's because it's Shang's movie, but this is a super big missed opportunity to flesh out one of your characters a little bit more. I mean, just do the bare minimum. Especially because Shang-Chi didn't even want anything to do with this. Might as well have let his sister do it. At the end of the movie, Xialing takes over the Ten Rings organization from her dad, since her dad got his soul sucked out. I honestly thought this was just a big F you to him. Like, way to add insult to injury. I feel like this comes out of pretty much nowhere. Yeah, there's a single line in the movie where she says, "If Dad won't let me into his empire, I'll build my own." but that's her referring to the secret fighting ring, which she already built. However, no one was thinking this would translate to her taking over her dad's terrorist organization. This just makes the morals of this movie even more messy. She thinks her dad's an awful person, but jumps the chance to do the exact same thing as him? Okay, Xiling, sure, whatever, you're always right. Honestly, I thought Death Dealer would have a much bigger role in this movie, as he was a force to be reckoned with, honestly. Unfortunately, he got Worfed. For those of you who don't know what being Worf is a character in Star Trek The Next Generation. He's a Klingon, so that being said, he comes from a people who are strong warriors. Whenever The Next Generation wants to establish that a threat is real, they beat Worf up. Because, oh no one can beat Worf up. He's a big, like, burly Klingon. Like, who could do that? Shoot, they beat him up. We better start taking this threat seriously. Yeah, that's what happens to Death Dealer. This dude literally is fighting like there's no tomorrow throughout the entire course of the movie. And then when the climax happens, he dies like, I don't know, something that dies easily. Like a goldfish you win at a carnival. A bee without a stinger. I don't know, whatever. He dies like a loser. Death Dealer sucks. I don't know why they built him up so much. Speaking of Star Trek, Michelle Yeoh, who plays Captain/Empress Philippa Georgiou in Star Trek Discovery, is apparently an airbender now. She plays the sister of Shang-Chi's mom. Unfortunately, Ying Nan, which is her name, did literally not serve a purpose in this plot at all. It's established that Shang-Chi's mom is the only person who was ever able to beat Zhu Wenwu, Shang-Chi's father, so do you think that it makes sense that Ying Nan, being the sister of the person who was able to beat Zhu Wenwu, would be able to beat Zhu Wenwu because she has the same powers? Right? Well, they never even fight. I kid you not. The last 45 minutes of the movie revolved around Shang-Chi trying to train to beat up his dad. His aunt even teaches him how his mom beat him up. So why did Ying Nan not fight Zhu Wenwu? Well, because she's not the main character, I guess. Whatever. I'm done with this movie. I don't even want to talk about Shang-Chi's mom because she literally is dead. Like, she only appears in flashbacks, which just serve to annoy the audience. So you know I mentioned that I don't think Shang-Chi as a character could hold his own movie? Well, evidently, neither did Marvel Studios. The Mandarin from Iron Man 3 was in almost the entire movie. So was Wong from Doctor Strange, but to a much lesser extent. But, back to the Mandarin. There was no other reason to do this other than to prove to us that this movie will in fact connect to the larger MCU, and here lies the problem with this entire movie. This movie is not a movie, much like its characters, it's just a concept. I feel like Shang-Chi suffers greatly here. It's hard for an audience to have confidence in a movie when it's so clear the studio also doesn't. Marvel could get away with leaning on nostalgia and cameos until Endgame, but we're in a post-COVID world now. This type of lazy writing doesn't fly anymore. Not for me, and it shouldn't for you. I don't know why they're trying so hard. Like, I feel like Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel probably shouldn't be in Shang-Chi's movie, but they are. Having this many cameos just makes it not special anymore. It used to be a real treat, but now it's just overdone. It's burnt out, it's crispy, they overdid it. This movie really needed to focus on its own failing story instead of trying to connect it to this larger Marvel story. Slow and steady wins the race, remember that. I don't know guys, I really didn't like this movie. I can't say I was bored, but I was constantly asking myself what the heck I was watching, and when the protagonist will actually get the ratings. I have said it before and I'll say it again, I don't know why so many people like this movie, but honestly, I don't truly believe they actually like it. I mean, hey, Disney's already gotten Rotten Tomatoes to change their scores for another movie before, that being The Last Jedi, so why can't they do it again for Shang-Chi? I mean, that's a joke, Disney, don't come after me. Anyways, every Marvel movie to date, that includes Black Panther, which, as you know, is my least favorite Marvel movie, I have come out of the theater excited and hopeful, waiting for what's next, the next installation of the universe. Shang-Chi did not do that for me. I came out of the theater just trying to comprehend what I had just watched. It's sad. It really is. I really wanted to like this movie, but there are just so many things that didn't work. it is a decent action adventure movie. Yeah, sure. It's totally a shut your brain off and eat popcorn kind of movie. But does it challenge the viewer to think about the deeper meaning? No, it doesn't. It doesn't even have properly written characters. But hey, for some people, glow, ringo, pew pew is enough. And if you're one of those people, good for you. I was originally gonna go over some screenshots from Rotten Tomato reviews, but I don't need to do that. Like, you guys can formulate your own opinions. If you like this movie, good for you. I hated it. I personally feel like most of the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes are fabricated, but you guys can all come to your own conclusion, so we'll just leave that where it is. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like Shang-Chi, sorry this probably wasn't that enjoyable for you. It's not my job to tell you guys what movies to like or not to like. I just, like sharing my opinions. I personally thought this was probably the worst Marvel movie, or one of the worst Marvel movies. But if you do like my content, don't hesitate to subscribe, and if you thought I was completely wrong, as stated earlier, feel free to argue about Shang-Chi with me in the comments. I'd love that. Let's have a conversation about it. Anyways, I hope you guys all have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.